Hey everyone, this is Jenny Miner McCombs, the Addict Empath. And seriously, all you fellow thought leaders are seriously like blowing my mind. I just watched the latest TEDx champ from Dr. Evan Johnson. And as a fellow healthcare professional, you're a little bit higher up than me in the status quo as a doctor. I am a nurse's aide, but the best doctors and the best nurses are always aides first because they don't mind shoveling the shit. I know you've done it too probably, but I do it more. Anyway, a lot of people don't know that I actually do have a sense of humor, that I actually am funny, and I'm not always doom and gloom and serious all the time talking about my addictions. And I have more notes. I was going crazy on the notes again, Dr. Evan. 2.5 pages here that I'm going to go over. Just like your successor, Laura Hennings, and Tahani, who I've made tributes to for their talks. And you are my next tribute secret keeper, Dr. Evan. And I think it's really special because as a healthcare professional, I am going to talk about some of the things that you said in your magnificent talk, which I liked, commented, and watched. And I might get a little bit more serious about the circumstances of how I ended up watching it. I have been indicating to people more and more lately that I have fallen into my illness. And there is no pretty way of saying that essentially I have been relapsing. And I could tell you that I could relapse on coke, marijuana, or meth. It doesn't matter. My reality is that I've been relapsing on diphenhydramine, Advil with diphenhydramine at the local Walmart. I have told people that I don't consider myself any better or worse than anybody else who suffers from my very real addictions. But first, before I get all serious and melodramatic, because I do want to show people that I really can be funny, I use self-deprecating humor quite a bit as a coping mechanism. And another fellow thought leader, Wally Bressler, shout out, mentioned that a lot in his book, Tragic Hero, which I'm almost done, Wally. Almost done. But I have seen the same tendencies to use self-deprecating humor as a coping mechanism. And I've seen a lot of the things in myself that Wally indeed saw in himself, to give generously, to do favors. I don't have financial assets to give freely. I sure wish that I did. The reality is, and what you spoke about in your talk, Evan, can I call you Evan? Dr. Johnson, you seem like the kind of guy who wouldn't mind if I called you Evan. You said that you were homeless and broke, and my mind was just like, whoa, like, oh my God, like, how many more signs of confirmation of this program that is a struggle for me to and Holly, shout out to Holly and shout out to Kale, because they always know that I'm late every month. Like I am this month. Wait till payday, I say. Anyway, I don't mean to ramble. But I'm broke right now. I told Laura I was broke, and when I saw her talk on financial wealth and what it means to her, I was flabbergasted. I have $5 in my... No, I just spent that on a Zid Zapper. See, right there. I spent my last $5 on Zid Zappers at Walmart. I lied. I don't have $5. I froze my credit. I froze my debit cards a few days ago, so they wouldn't... the auto payments wouldn't go into the negative. And I can't unfreeze them for the holiday season. So, yeah, it's gas and whatever, I was struck by your candor with your homelessness, and Laura did too. Broken, bruised, battered, 22 and alone with $200. I have less than that, but it's okay. Poverty isn't a competition, Laura. It's okay. Don't take it personal. no connection to the outside world. Ever since my divorce finalized this last March, it'll be a year in March. Although we've been separated for a few years, I have felt more separated from family. I have family that lives in a different state. I don't see them regularly. I struggle staying connected, and I do feel. And right after that, you said that you were crying and screaming for someone to show me a sign that I was meant for more. And I was just so struck. And I don't really feel like being melodramatic and serious, because I have been a lot. And I felt your energy, and I want to reflect that in the sentiment in this tribute to you. But I was just yesterday, just last night, I thought, Evan, that I would be alone yesterday. I thought I would spend New Year's alone. My ex had my kids, and that was what I was accustomed to. And so, as a healthcare professional, from me to you, who have both studied, you more extensive, I have taken 10 years of on and off prerequisites for nursing school. And I've gotten in twice and pulled out twice for various reasons. And right now I'm one stats class away from trying a third time. I wanted to ask you if it was worth it. Despite the fact that I've struggled with addiction for many, many years, and openly and freely have embraced a life of advocacy despite my current relapse. I'm trying harder because of my current relapse, pushing through the pain that motivates me to go further with my candor and my honesty, seeking that authentic connection that you said the world craved and needed, and I have been craving and needing just that authentic connection. And since you're a healthcare professional, I felt immediately connected to you because I had a 3.9 GPA that I've maintained during all of those prerequisites, except for stats, which is totally unnecessary, and you don't really need it for nursing. Admit it, Evan. You don't need stats for infusion equations. Tell me I'm wrong. Maybe later. Anyway, my insecurities and my inner narrative are telling me, they're poisoning me, and they're saying, no, Jenny, you can't be a nurse. You can't have access to opiates. You can't have access to narcotics because you're an addict. What if you stole? What if you messed up? What if you stole someone's medicine? A thought that is completely 100% against my morals, against my upbringing, against my standards, against my code of conduct as a healthcare professional. And yet those thoughts came in my head, Evan. I said, you can't be a nurse. My narrative said, you can't be a nurse. What if you can't trust yourself with narcotics? No one's ever going to let you be a nurse. You're an addict. And I'm looking at these notes and I'm not going over them linearly. But I was crying and screaming for someone to show me a sign just last night after I'd overdosed and taken a handful of over-the-counter Advil with diphenhydramine. And I've said to several people that I thank my higher power every day for my 4 years of strict sobriety from polypharmacy abuse, being a lifelong insomniac and having environmental and physiological factors that set me up for addiction that I'll talk about in my narratives. A high metabolism. As a child, having to take 3 Tylenol instead of 1. My addictive personality. Insomnia made me addicted to Ambien. I was introduced to Adderall at 23 years old, which triggered my 7-8 year bout of bulimia and anorexia and body dysmorphic disorder. Consequently, my mom tried it. My 2 other sisters tried it, and they were able to stop. My mother uses it to this day. I think she recently tried to quit, but she never abused it. She always used it responsibly, and if anything, very frugally. I was the only one that succumbed to the hell and the torture that is addiction. And I will explore that more in my narratives. And then a pill-pushing doctor overprescribed opiates to my ex-husband for a back injury. And he was very generous when I asked for some, and that set me up. And then, of course, the Xanax to combat the Adderall, the uppers, the downers, the stimulants, the depressants. You know how it goes, just as much as I do, being a healthcare professional. And I am proud that I went cold turkey from those vices 4 years ago, having an extensive medical history that's very, very well documented, that protects me from doctors in the area prescribing me those medicines. And I'm grateful for that. And I've been giving myself such a horrible time for this relapse. And I've been saying, why? Why do I have to relapse? I'm a mental health advocate. I'm trying to help other people. I landed a TEDx talk. I might land another one. There was a whole bunch of us thought leaders that got second round applicants for TEDx Uni and TEDx Uni Upstate. And I was one of them. And I was very thrilled because their theme of unspoken voices ties up my advocacy in a nutshell. It's the perfect theme that could describe my advocacy, and I want that more than anything. My first talk hasn't even gone live yet. But Evan, you had said that you knew that there was more to come in the darkest moments of your life. And I've been punishing myself. My narrative has been punishing myself for this relapse intensely. And the longer that you don't, not all doctors are the same. And I'm sure you know that, Evan. I wish I could have gone to a doctor like you, feeling instinctively that if I had gone to you a few months ago, like I did locally, when I reached out for help, when I felt myself falling into my illness, and I tried to be proactive about it, I went to my local doctor and I said, I'm a mental health care advocate. I've landed a TEDx talk. I hadn't delivered it at that time. I know my illness. I said, I've been abusing Benadryl and I want to stop. I had like some COVID testing or something as a pre-screening for work, for agency work. And I can't tell you, Evan, and if I land my talk at TEDx Uni, if I am blessed enough to land a second talk, that would be a miracle. Arrogance is not a part of me. I'm too hard on myself to be arrogant. But if I did, I am going to share this part in my talk. I went to this doctor and I was brave and I said, I've been relapsing. I've been abusing this over-the-counter antihistamine and I don't want to and I need help. And I can't tell you, Evan, how crushed I felt as a healthcare professional of nearly 8 years, doing the brunt work of healthcare, when 95% of my job is documenting poo. I'm trying to be funny there. Anyway, I do a lot more than that. But to see this doctor he didn't look at me, Evan. He looked through me. He looked right through me. He stonewalled my questions. He stonewalled my concerns. He made it very apparent that he didn't want to talk to me about my addictions and my illness. And when he went out the door, I would probably imagine that he was a young resident, fresh. He was young, this crisp white jacket, the up tie, not like you. Very stiff upper lip, I bet. I can only imagine. I know I've seen those doctors. Not that I'm judgmental, but when he walked out the door and he turned his back on me without even looking at me and looking through me, he said, try to stop abusing that Benadryl. It could be dangerous. I had the same reaction. My heart was crushed. I was shocked. I went to my car and I cried. And I wept. And I turned on my phone and I made a video that I put in my blog, Drowning in Madagascar, about that moment when I went to a doctor for help as an addict, as an advocate, as a healthcare professional, to say I need help and to only remember the lingering feeling of having this professional in his crisp white jacket and his tie tell me to stop abusing an antihistamine because it could be dangerous. And I had told him, I am an advocate. I'm a TEDx speaker. I'm a blogger and an author. You said that we needed to understand the culture. I'm looking at the notes, and I really want to be my own medicine, Evan. And that was powerful, and I'm not going to lie, it was somewhat conflicting because I know that the physiological degradation of my mind is severe. Boop, boop. Sorry, my teenager. Not now, I'm trying to change the world through a blog post. Sorry. I know it's severe. The hardest part of trying to change the culture of what it means to suffer from addiction and to identify as an addict freely has been the hardest part for me, because what is the first thing that so many people think of when they think of an addict and the culture of an addict? Because when I had abused the Benadryl last night, Evan, my son, my 11-year-old son, came into my bedroom with stomach pains that were severe, and he was crying, and I had no money, and I had no medicine for my child. I had no way to get him medicine, and that was very triggering for me. My alarm clock was going to go off in 2 hours to start the day shift at a nursing home where I work, which is very, very hard work, a lot harder than acute care units from my personal experience. Anyway, I knew Evan. I knew that I was not sober enough from this antihistamine. I was cognitive and aware, and I knew the deficits that I had for me. I knew the deficits that I would have for my patients, for my residents. I knew I was not of sound mind. I knew that I would be vulnerable and that I might frighten them. I knew it would be irresponsible to report to work, and I was conflicted. I called at 3:30 in the morning and told them that my son was sick and I had to stay with him until my ex-husband could pick him up. And that was the truth, Evan. But the hidden truth was that I needed 3 hours of more time to sober up. And when I went to work with a clear mind, physiologically sound, to do the hard work that was my job, and I performed it well. I'm a very proficient nurse's aide. I've been doing it for 8 years. I was not hindered in my ability to do my work. If anything, I worked extra hard, and I charted for other aides who were newer and less experienced, and I covered for them, and I taught them, and I worked hard because I had to push down the narrative that was torturing me, the narrative that was punishing me. I did my job well. I was not hindered in a physiological capacity, only psychologically. And the unspoken battles, because the new friend that I made, the new aide, she fled Oregon, and she is a single mother with 3 children under 8. She had to take her 2 younger children to work with her on Christmas Day. I worked with her on Christmas Day. No one could care for them, and so she brought them in the lounge, and the aides rallied together and took turns darting in and checking on them and bringing them snacks. And I'm a mother of 6 kids, a single mother of 6 kids, and I was very maternal. And I popped in there and I played with them, and I threw this 5-year-old in the air, and I'm not mean to rant, but the point is, she confessed to me today that she has been clean from cocaine for 3 or 4 months, and she had to leave because she knew that she needed to get clean and sober from alcohol and cocaine. And she just told me that she's 4 months sober, and I celebrated her. And we are a fellow empaths, and we embraced, and I made a friend today. And I tried so hard, just like James Fry, which I quote so much from A Million Little Pieces. Yesterday, when I was screaming and crying, Evan, and shouting out, I was literally sitting on my hands, just like James. And I was trying so hard to fight my narrative. And I was really curious about all of the things that you quoted, that the moment you believe and change your perception is the moment that you can rewrite the chemistry of your own body. And my perception changes so much from every day and every hour. It's exhausting. And the concept that I could be my own medicine, do you really think, Evan, that I am strong enough to mind over matter my illness? That I could mind over matter the physiological degradation of my mind, which I'm sure they taught you. And they need to teach doctors better, just from my experience of how this one doctor treated me in this little rinky-dink rural area where I live. And I'm not saying that that's common. He might have been the exception. But I'll never forget the way he looked through me, Evan, and not at me. To break the tension, I want to tell you another doctor joke. There was this doctor when I was working the acute care unit, and this alarm sounded, and all of us looked at each other curiously, and this doctor comes out with this quizzical look on his face, and he's like, what do I do? Like, he was thinking, he's like, what do I do? What's going on? How do I turn this off? And I'm like, doctor, do you not know how to turn off a bed alarm? 12 plus years of medical schooling, Dr. So-and-so, and you can't turn off a bed alarm? Anyway, I appreciated your humor, and I appreciated that you made me laugh, and I will dedicate book 2 of my book series to you as a secret keeper. Book 5 is dedicated to you as well, and I'll send you the links on my dedicatory post about what that means, just like our friend Laura Hennings. I do have more notes, and it was kind of, I was thinking about a blog post when I was going to Walmart today. I couldn't even think about what I was going to write and make a turn at the same time. And my memory, Evan, is bad. The memory lapses that I have, the judgment, the rationale, the impulsivity, and the things, despite my strict sobriety from polypharmacy, the antihistamine can trigger my cognitive deficits that I'm very insecure about, that I try so often to laugh away. But deep down inside, it's a really big insecurity of mine that holds me back. And if I can really rewrite the chemistry of my body to mind over matter, that's a very intriguing concept for me, and I'd love for you to share more of your ideas with me. But just please don't charge me. I can't afford your expertise right now. Maybe someday. But I really do want to believe that I can be the medicine for myself, and that I can realize that the power is inside of me, because I've been celebrating so many of my fellow thought leaders, knowing full well that it is in fact a coping mechanism, just like Wally did in his memoir, Tragic Hero, to uplift others and sustain others when the hardest thing for an addict is to be alone with yourself. Yourself and your thoughts and your second voice. And that's very much me, Wally. I know that that's what I'm doing, and it does fill me with joy and gratification, because I am an insecure person who suffers from addiction. That being said, I want to celebrate your talk because it was magnificent, and I will share your message on my blog and my meek, feeble social media skills to the best of my ability. And thanks, Evan. I hope I can hear from you soon. And when my talk finally goes live, if it ever does, I hope you can like, share, and help me in return. Love, Jenny Miner McCombs, the addict empath. I hope to hear from you soon, from one healthcare professional to another. And if you really think I could make it as a nurse, I would love to hear from you, because I'm thinking about trying again. Maybe the third time will be the charm.